What's your approach to like training? And you seem to, I've rolled around with you in jits. You seem to just kind of be a flow, easygoing kind of guy. Is that how you approach your fights, like in real life, or approach training? Are you always like that, or is there like a methodology to?
I've always been like more of a go with the flow type of like person. Like for me, I feel like consistency is like the number one thing, but also like I have like my own goals for my training, and I'm never trying to win in the training room. A lot of people go out there like, oh, I won that round, but you didn't learn anything. If you don't learn anything, eventually you're going to stagnate. So for me, it's like, I'm just trying to focus on myself. I'm never focused on the result. I'm never focused on how other people are doing. If I could get better every day, every week, every month, every year, I'm going to become the best version of myself. So fighting's just, the medium I'm using for self-improvement. And I love what I do. And it's fun. And I'm actually good at it. And I've been very fortunate and lucky and blessed and all those things. But yeah, like not until about 3 years ago, I really started like planning things ahead of time as opposed to just like, oh, I'll get better. I'm focusing on this move. And I guess now is probably relatively recently in like this 15-year journey, I'm finally maybe feeling a little stressed about it. That's just because I care about it that much. So
interesting. When was that shift? So are you saying kind of like you were just kind of going along about it, kind of chilling out, having fun along the way, but what made that transition into you, I guess, taking it more seriously? Not that you didn't take it seriously, but then what was it that got you stressed out nowadays?
When I had to support my wife. And we wanted to have a kid.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to be a deadbeat dad, So I was like, okay, I gotta be serious. I'm not for myself, for my family. Because I didn't lose until I had my first kid. Like I was fighting for like 7 years, didn't lose. And then I had my daughter, and I lost my first fight after I had a kid. And that was like the first time where I was like, oh no, there's consequences for me not taking things as seriously. So now I take it very seriously, but it's still fun. But yeah, nothing felt worse than like coming home and being like, I'm sorry, I only have half the paycheck that was expected. Wow. I'm sorry that I failed you guys. You feel like a bad dad. You feel like a bad husband. It's like, oh, if I was a lawyer, this wouldn't be happening. If I was being an engineer, if I was being a teacher, like I feel like it would have been easier to trust in me.
That's an interesting introspection, because at the same time, right? Like, if you were a lawyer, I mean, would you be you? And it's almost like it's interconnected. Would your wife have been with you? Would you have met your wife? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like easy to say, yeah, I mean, I guess the quote unquote security of it, but damn, I mean, would you have been like an alcoholic? You know what I mean? Not
exactly.
Loving your job kind of thing. So would you say the stress, looking back at it, would you say the stress is still worth it being a fighter and you don't know what's going to happen? You don't know how predictable, like say, money is going to be. Are you still like happy going along this path that you're in?
1000%.
Yeah.
I think this is my best timeline. I think this is the timeline I find the most fulfillment in. Every day I know exactly what I'm working towards. Like a lot of people, they wake up and they're not sure what they're going to do at work. They're not sure what they're going to do after work. They live for that 40 hours a week, and then they go to the bar on Friday, and then maybe party with their friends on Saturday, and maybe you go to church if you're a well-balanced individual. And like, people are looking for meaning. And I've never had to look for meaning. My meaning was to improve myself. My meaning was to get better. My meaning was to support myself and to like follow my dreams and to accomplish great things that I thought were scary. So yes, it's stressful, it's unpredictable, and there's a lot of other negative emotions that can be tied to this, but no more negative emotions than when I was just going to school, when I wasn't sure what I was going to do, when I was in college, when I was in high school. There's always stuff. There's always negatives. We're always going to focus on those things. But fighting did more for me than anything else in my life.
Where do you get that introspection from? Because, when I was growing up, like I got into like a lot of alcohol and a lot of, I think for the most part, especially nowadays for most kids, they're addicted to a lot of substances. Particularly one of them was me, which I just said it was alcohol. But then how did you get so wise at such a young age, knowing that, to be able to say, like, I want to improve every day? Because when I was 21, I'd be like, what the hell? If you told me that, I'd be like, get out of here. I want to have a drink. Where did you get that from? Is it just how you grew up? Did it come from your, family? Were you always disciplined as a kid?
Oh, I wouldn't say I was always disciplined, but my mom had me very early. She was 18 and then she got pregnant, and she was 19. Then she adopted my older sister a week after I was born. So she had a 5-year-old and a newborn. So my mom never really got to enjoy herself until like we were all grown. So I was watching her every day grind, go to work, be tired, come home, and she lived to just come home, eat dinner, have a bath. And my mom now is finally chasing her bliss. She's a lot happier in her life now that she has that freedom that she never got to have. But I remember just being young and being like, I never want to be I don't ever want to be going through my entire day just hoping for a nice hot bath. For me, there's not much me, and there's not much happiness in that. And I was just very thankful for the sacrifices my mom made for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, I was just like, I want to do what I have to do for my family. I want to take care of them. I want to be someone people could rely on, but I don't want to hate any aspect of my life.
Yeah. And I could only imagine that's a lot from reading too, right? Because we were talking about before this podcast, readers, they have a certain kind of, I guess you could say they're really well-rounded when it comes to like mindset. I think it's just, you visualize, you read a book and then you visualize all these things in your head, and yeah, it's just a means for self-improvement. Would you say that's one of them? You said you'd read what, 170 something books this year already?
Yeah, I'm on 147.
Yeah.
And probably gonna get to like at least 170 by the end of the year. But I wasn't a reader until I got to college. But I remember when I started reading, like I feel like I was just aware of way more perspectives. And it's like the adage, like the man who doesn't read only lives once, the man who reads lives 1,000 times.
Yep.
Like I put myself in the minds of these authors, the minds of these characters. And it like helps you grow to become a more empathetic individual. And I really feel like when I started reading, I really started to have a better perspective. I was able to like look outside myself and see who I was as a character, to see like Jordan Leavitt as an individual. Like, how would an author write my life? How would he describe me? And if I didn't like how that looked, I have the opportunity to change that.
Right. How would you look at your life as in from when you started fighting to now? What would you say? Like if you had a small biopsy or memoir about what you've done, say, not just in fighting, but, like throughout your life, what description would you say best describes that?
That's a good question. I'd hope that if I was described, the number one thing would be like, he was a good man, he was a good husband, he was a good father, and he also really loved to fight. I feel like I'm a very passionate individual, and I feel like I have found my meaning. I know what the center of my circle is. So I feel like as long as I was described in a way where it showed like, these are my values, this is who I am, and that's all I cared about, I'd be very satisfied with the way I was described in that book.